Okay, we are live. All right, we're back for another podcast. Week one in the books, so we actually get to talk real football, real game. So I know there's a lot to talk about, so I guess I'll kick it off with our favorite topic, Joe Flacco, and I'll let you guys go around the horn because you guys are the big Flacco fans. I have my comments, but I'll do mine last. So, Vincent, since you're the biggest Flacco fan, you can go second to last. So, Al, what are your thoughts?
I mean, listen, Flacco did what everybody expected and what we talked about really all off season. I mean, Flacco finally has someone behind him. Really, I say two people behind him that are going to push to make him better. And so Flacco knew that he could not come out in that first game and lay an egg, because if he did, every fan in that stadium would have been calling for Lamar Jackson to play. And so I don't think Flacco really had a choice. I mean, and granted, Flacco's healthy. I thought Flacco did a great job in the first game. I, I'm not saying, hey, they're winning the Super Bowl tomorrow, because I think that Buffalo was just trash. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo's 0-16 by the end of the year. But I think Flacco made some great throws during the game. I mean, the touchdown to John Brown in the end zone was a nice pass. I mean, Michael Crabtree made a heck of a catch in the back of the end zone, but Flacco did a nice job putting the ball in play for him so he could make a catch on it. And those are the things I think Flacco's really been missing at receiver, is he doesn't have anybody that can make a play for him. And this is the first time that we saw him with that. So I thought Flacco did a good job. I think Cincinnati will be a good bar to watch to see, what does Flacco do in this game, because Flacco typically doesn't play well in Cincinnati. So we'll see this week, but I Flacco was what I expected.
All right, Bill.
All right, yeah. I mean, you can't argue with the results on this one, because in the post game comments, some of the Buffalo players were saying, "Hey, it was rainy. We really thought their game plan was going to be to come out and pound the ball, and we thought the running game was going to be the key to everything." And Flacco came out and slung it on us, and they just whipped us. And if the dudes on the other side of the field are saying it, that's good enough for me. I have a stat that I want to pull out, and it's right out of the gate. The first question. So I read this online. This is not my point. Thank you, nameless internet football fan, whatever. I read this and I was like, yeah, that's a good point. He says, I think it's also worth noting that Flacco excelled even in those nasty weather conditions. There were 3 games played in similar conditions this weekend. The other 2, besides us, being Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Across those 3 games, only Flacco played well. All of the other QBs in those 3 games, and that includes Jackson and the two QBs for Buffalo. So Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Peterman, Tyrod Taylor, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan, and Nick Foles added up to the following combined passing stat line: 90 for 195 for 1,025 yards, 2 TDs, and 8 INTs, and a 46.2 completion percentage, 48.7 QB rating across the board on those quarterbacks. Only Flacco played well.
Didn't Big Ben throw like 6 of those picks?
He threw 3. Yeah, Roethlisberger had 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions with an individual QB rating of 60.5. So that's got to count for something. Flacco played great in terrible weather. When everybody else was coughing it up, he was throwing it, spinning it like a champ. So, I've been saying it. We said it before the draft. We said it, after they drafted Jackson, and I'm still saying it now. Flacco plays his best ball when the pressure is on. I don't know what the impetus was behind drafting Jackson, whether they wanted him to start right away or what. I don't believe that's true. I'm not 100% certain that it hasn't worked out exactly like they wanted it to. Jackson's not ready to play, but Flacco sees him standing right there, and they keep putting him on the field to run around, and they sees how athletic he is. If Flacco doesn't play his best ball, he is done. And he's playing like January Joe, and it's September, and I'm excited.
Go ahead, Vince. I'll let you go ahead and go next and get it off your chest. You are Mr. Mrs. Flacco. So go ahead.
Yeah. Just because I like to tell it as it is, Rob. But yeah, man, I don't really have too much more to add. He played as I thought he would. I still stand by my prediction. I think this will be a career year for Joe. The big thing, obviously, the weapons. I mean, that throw and pass to Crabtree in the corner of the end zone. I mean, that's a play I haven't seen anyone make in a Ravens uniform in a long time. So,
Yeah.
that was very encouraging. Certainly, when you think about what Joe has had to deal with over the last 3 years. Again, no one made excuses for the guy at the end of the day. I think I completely agree with Will. The fire has been lit. He always responds to challenges. As much as he wants to downplay that when he talks to the media, it's just facts at this point. There's no way around it. But it is clear as day, health wise, he's as good as he's been in a long time, and he is moving. The thing that is incredible for me is his movement in the pocket. I have not seen Joe with that type of movement in the pocket since probably his heyday 2012 area. But his ability to move within the pocket, make some plays even outside of the pocket, has really set him off this year. And yeah, obviously very encouraging, and obviously it's only a start. And to Al's point, I think at the end of the day, I'm not sure what we were dealing with there in Buffalo. Although, I'll say going into the game, the narrative was their pass defense was pretty solid. Pretty sure last year they were in the top 5 or 10 in terms of touchdown passes allowed. Tre'Davious White's a hell of a corner, So going in, my expectation was that we were going to run the ball because they were very soft up front. Their linebackers are garbage. So I thought that's where we were going to exploit them. But it's clear we wanted to make a statement that this offense is something different and has the makings of something special. But definitely not getting too far ahead of myself. Cincinnati's a huge test, short week, on the road, a team that he struggles against most of the time. If we get a repeated performance of last week, Thursday, I might have eyes will be wide open across the league at that point. But for now, great start. Don't want to make too much more of it.
All right. Well, I guess I get.
Rob, hang on.
No?
Hang on. Rob, Hang on.
Oh.
I had one more thing that I intended to say, and I forgot to say it. Flacco needs to stop throwing across his body across the field. He's going to get one of our receivers murdered. So, I know it worked out both times he did it in this game. He can't do that this year.
It seemed like some of those were designed passes like that. I think that one that John Brown or whoever it was like wide open 30 yards down the field. I think that was a design, roll them out, kind of like what they were doing with what's his name back in the day.
Yeah, the Buck Allen one, I think, is the one you're referencing, Will. And that one,
it was
that
the
was a
second
mess.
one. I was like, "Oh, don't do that."
Yeah, that one was a late throw. Yeah, and definitely you don't want that. But yeah, some of that design movement. Again, I mean, I haven't seen that type of mobility from Joe. I mean, just the fact that we're calling those type of plays, we would have never dreamed of calling that play last year or the year before, coming off the ACL and with the back. There's just that play wasn't even in our playbook. So just his ability to move, I think, is the arm has always been there. It's been inconsistent, the decision making and footwork, but his movement and footwork within the pocket and outside of the pocket, I think, is really what is setting him apart so far.
All right, now it's my turn. Here comes the truth. This is what you people need to hear. First of all,
oh boy,
you played an awful team. That quarterback was the worst quarterback I think I've seen us ever play in the past 10 years, possibly. He was just awful.
He didn't play on the defense either.
Hey, listen, he was just giving us the football in short field yardage situations. Awful. This was something that was expected. He should have thrown 5 touchdowns, but yes, he got pulled from the game early, which is okay, and I understand that. He threw 3, but that is expected from you against an awful team. I can't say that enough. That team was just piss poor, awful. Just an awful team. I have nothing more to say other than the fact that that's what you should have done. Your real test is obviously Thursday night, but he also did not hand off that football correctly to Alex Collins on that fumble that was recovered. That was his fault. Watch the slow motion. You can do that all you want. Watch the slow motion. He put it there. He did not put it in the right spot.
You don't know that. You don't know what the play call was. Unless you know what the play call was, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
Alex Collins ran
did not put that football out there.
Hold on. See how far outside Collins was? Collins was in the B gap, and Flacco's looking for him in the A, and Flacco's got the ball out like this.
Yeah.
Get it, Alex Collins. And he's
that's correct. As a quarterback,
come on, man. Shut the fuck up. You are out of your mind. You are so
supposed to be where it's supposed to be.
Whatever it is.
Going back on, that's exactly what he should have done. In my opinion, that was like a preseason game, and Thursday night, he had better do a lot better job than what he did against an awful team, because he's going to face off against a good team. I got some stats. I got some stuff that's going to come up.
1 second.
We're not going to get there yet.
I have no argument that Nathan Peterman should probably never start another football game in the National Football League. I have no argument there. And the Buffalo Bills as a whole are absolutely, definitely going to be one of, if not the worst team in the league this year. There's no arguments here. But the Buffalo secondary is not bad, and Flacco shredded them. And if he had been in there for 60 minutes, he would have thrown for 5 TDs. Man, we would have put a 60 burger on those boys. We scored 47. We had scrubs in there after the 35-minute point. We had half our team on the bench, man. Every person that dressed played significant minutes in that game, and we had half our team on the bench. We would have scored 60 on them if we'd have left Flacco in there the whole game.
And Rob, keep this in mind too for that defense. I agree that they've got a good secondary, but look at some of those guys that they have up front on that defense too. Edmonds, that rookie linebacker, had a hell of a game with a forced fumble, a sack. I mean, Alexander's a solid linebacker. Jerry Hughes is typically a decent pass rusher. They've got Starlo Tulele on that front seven too. Trent Murphy. So they've got guys that you would have thought would have been able to have a better showing than 47-3 on the defensive side of the football. Our defense against their offense, I think their offensive line is horrible. They lost Cordy Glenn. You lose Richie Incognito from that front line and try to patch an offensive line together. They were terrible. I mean, Shady. I mean, they didn't even really give the ball to Shady. Kelvin Benjamin is horrible. But
you catch my point. My point just being
enough said about the Bills. I'm on to the Bengals.
Well, hang on, we're not done. I got my list here, but hang on. I'm going to finish my part there, and that is their quarterback was playing for us. He threw 3 interceptions. The guy was just awful. So my point there being is I will rescind what I say if he does well Thursday night, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Okay?
All right.
Let's move on to the wide receivers. Crabtree, Snead, and we have Brown. We can talk about them since there are 3 new wide receivers for this year. So, Vincent, I'll give you the first round on that. What are your thoughts on these 3 guys? Let me throw a quick stat out for you for them. Willie Snead had 4 catches, 49 yards. John Brown, 3 catches, 44 yards. Crabtree, 3 catches, 38 yards. So, what are your thoughts on the new wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest news coming out of here is the balance and the fact that they all got a taste. And you can't ask for much more in week 1 than to get every single one of your weapons involved, feeling good about themselves in the end zone. So I mean, about as perfect of a start as you can ask. I will say, going through individually, Crabtree had some drops early, which if you look at Flacco's final line, I think he had 9 incompletions. I counted at least 3 drops. So but obviously that touchdown was something else, and that play was exactly what we brought him in to do. So that was encouraging. Move John Brown. I am fully hooked and aboard the John. I've always loved John Brown, and now, I've been trying to resist so hard because of his injury history, falling in love and just going all in. But I think I'm at the point. I mean, he changes our offense. And, I think he allows us to do so many things with his ability to go down the field, but he can do a lot more. He can do stuff in the short game. Clearly the red zone, he's shown himself to be a target. So can't be more impressed. Just really, really hope. And for him, he deserves a full year because he's been on the cusp for a long time to breaking out. And he had a chance with Arizona. He had 1,000 yards one year, but obviously we know the history. So I just hope he stays healthy. But can't ask for more from him. And then Willie Snead, I think is just that reliable guy that he's going to make so many big third down conversions for us this year. You can already tell that, Flacco's looking for him on those short routes in the middle of the field, especially third down. Perfect complement to what we have. So Chris Moore made a play too. So
that's true. Let me,
but yeah, can't ask for more.
well, let me throw a question for you. Out of those 3 wide receivers, which one of those 3s will have 1,000 yards?
Man, maybe none because they all get 900.
Well, come on, yeah, give me one. Who do you think out of those 3 would get 1,000 yards?
I'll go John Brown. I'm already on the hype train, so let's go.
Okay, all right, Al, you're up next. What do you think of the 3 wide receivers that we got? Each one did get in the end zone, like Vincent said. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, a great start. I mean, three new receivers, 3 touchdowns. I mean, everybody had 3 or 4 catches in the game. I mean, Crabtree had 2 drops. Nick Boyle had 2 drops as well, and then I want to say Snead had 1. Snead had the penalty at the goal line, but it was nice to see him come back and catch a touchdown pass on the next play. I mean, these 3 receivers are guys that you can get excited about. I mean, they're veterans. They clearly understand how to get open. I think that the weather conditions played a role in the Crabtree drops because Flacco put those 2 balls right on him. So I think in normal circumstances, which we'll hopefully see in Cincinnati, Crabtree makes those catches. I mean, the thing I looked at in that game was all of those guys were making the catches and plays that they did make with no gloves on. So I mean, they were just out there making plays. So when we needed a third down, I mean, Snead would pop up. I mean, John Brown popped in and made some plays. So it was good to see. I mean, Mark Andrews made some plays. The young rookie tight end, along with Nick Boyle. I thought the tight ends played well, but the receivers played well. And if I had to pick, I mean, who I think is going to go over 1,000. I mean, I'm going Michael Crabtree. I mean, Crabtree, the way he dragged that second foot to get that touchdown. Oh man, like I'm here in my basement screaming. I mean, that got me excited to see a catch like that. Oh man, that was great because I mean it's been a long time since the Ravens have had real playmakers at wide receiver, and if these guys can stay healthy. I mean, I say watch out for this offense. Alex Collins has got to step his game up to get into the same
we'll get there.
These guys.
We'll get there next. Let me ask you a question. out of the three wide receivers, who scores the most touchdowns?
I'm going Crabtree just based on stats. I think the last 5 years, Crabtree's fifth in the NFL in red zone touchdowns. So I'm going with Crabtree.
All right, we got Crabtree. All right, Bill, you're up. What do you think of the three wide receivers? And if you want to add anything from the wide receiver core last year, go ahead. Compared to this year,
I'd rather forget the wide receiver core of last year if I could. I mean, I was excited. What I saw from Crabtree, Brown, and Snead was kind of what I expected to see from Crabtree, Brown, and Snead, and it makes me excited that they delivered on that. Now, obviously, like Vincent said, Brown's got to stay healthy, so that that is the only caveat to what I think is a really good complementary trio. And the more beyond those three wide receivers, I think Chris Moore is showing something. I think, who knows? He made plays at what was he? Cincinnati? Is that where he was at for college?
Yep.
I mean, he made plays at Cincinnati, and I thought he looked good coming out. I was excited about him when we drafted him. So hopefully, maybe finally we develop an actual wide receiver. That'd be nice. But in addition to the wide receiver core, I thought Janarius Grant had a good game returning. Obviously, he's got to stop fumbling, but he returned a lot of ball. I mean, he returned 8 kicks for touchdowns in college. So, and he's almost taken one of the house twice. For very in the preseason and then in this game. So. I mean, yeah, you got to stop fumbling. That's 100% right. But I'm excited to see what he does in the return game, and maybe a couple snaps here and there as a wide receiver. But the tight ends also, to see that kind of production out of the tight end group without Hurst on the field, I was very, very excited about that, because I think it was clear when Hurst was on the field before we went to before he got hurt, he was clearly the best guy on the field at the tight end spot. And to see, and I've always been kind of a Nick Boyle fan. I even kind of forgave him for taking the PEDs. I was like, whatever, man, he's rough. I like him, And so I like Boyle all along. If it was me, if it was my team, I would have cut Max Williams. And I think that's probably what would have happened if Hurst hadn't gotten hurt. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about the offense. As long as Flacco doesn't shit the bed, I think we're good to go.
All right, here's my question for you. Crabtree and John Brown are both kind of injury prone. If that happens, those guys happen to go down, can Willie Snead, Mark Andrews, and those guys, Hayden Hurst, keep this going? Or are we screwed?
We're saying if Crabtree goes down, or if Crabtree and Brown go down?
If Crabtree and Brown go, they're both kind of injury prone.
If Crabtree and Brown go down, I mean, I have to imagine if they went down today, I mean, Des Bryant's going to be on speed dial for Ozzie. I mean, he's going to get that same contract we offered him before, 3 for $21. So, I mean, I have to imagine if Crabtree went down, Des would be on the next plane out. Like, he'd be on the Biscotti's private jet. So, but if Brown went down, I don't think. I mean, barring the Des Bryant situation, there's not a guy who could come in here off the street and replace what either one of those guys offer. And so no, if Crabtree and Brown go down, and we've got Snead and Chris Moore, I mean, maybe we catch lightning in a bottle and Chris Moore explodes into like whatever, like DeAndre Hopkins part 2. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe, who knows? But barring something like that, nah. If Crabtree and Brown go down, we better hope that Alex Collins turns into Jim Brown over the course of the next 2 weeks.
All right. I guess it's my turn. I don't have too much more to add. I actually liked all the wide receivers. I thought they all did a really good job. If Flacco would have played probably the whole game, their numbers would be a lot higher. But yeah, pretty spread out that I saw in the game. He played much more balanced than I've seen Flacco play. I'll give him that much. I will give him a thumbs up on spreading the football around a lot. especially the Nick Boyle, especially the Mark Andrews, and getting Willie Snead in the game because he kind of disappeared just for a little bit and he started showing up. So good job in spreading the football around. I like the wide receivers a lot this year.
Give him a thumbs up.
I should mute you. But no, I thought, pretty good overall. I guess for my 1,000-yard wide receiver, I'm going to kind of actually go outside the box, but I think Willie Snead might somehow get 1,000 yards. But I think for touchdowns, I'm going to agree with Vincent. I think John Brown ends up with like 9 or 10 touchdowns on this team this year. So the wide receiver core, I'm extremely happy about. Did a great job. So Ozzie, good job on revamping the whole entire core there. But you're right, Crabtree needs to not have those drops, but it was raining. So we'll see what these guys can do Thursday night.
Did you also give them a thumbs up?
Yes. All right. On to the running backs. This is yes, right. Thumbs up. All right, on to the running backs. I think this might be an area where we might have some problems. So, Bill, I'll let you kick it off first. Alex Collins, your boy, I'm always hurt. Dixon, who says so wonderful, hurt again, and Allen. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Kenneth Dixon apologist. I think the kid is talented, but if you can't stay on the field, sorry. I mean, I said earlier today, he'd already be on IR if I was the GM. I'd be like, sorry, man, I can't count on you. 3 weeks from now, or 6 weeks from now, or 8 weeks from now, whenever you come back, well, you're gonna get a hamstring. Sorry, man, you're all done here. I wish you the best of luck with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I love Kenneth Dixon as a player, but if you can't stay on the field, you can't help me. Running back that's in the cold tub doesn't do me any good. So as far as Collins go, I'm really not worried about. I'm honestly not worried about him. It was a weird game with the ball. I mean, everybody but Flacco had a problem with it. Crabtree never drops anything, and he had 2 drops, and he's looking at his hands like, man, what's going on? I can't catch that ball. I don't know. And so, I'm not worried about Collins. I think I don't necessarily expect him to be 5.1 yards a carry like he had last year or anything like that. I mean, I think that's honestly kind of unrealistic to expect that out of a full-time bell cow running back with a year of tape under his belt. So I expect his yards per carry average to fall off a little bit. But he's still the same guy. You can tell, he was frustrated. But I was happy to get out of the game with no injuries. I think Buck Allen doesn't get enough credit as a all around a good back. He's a grinder, man. If you give him the ball and he's got to get 2 yards, he is going to get those 2 yards, and I don't care what happens. So I like him. I especially like him as a third down back. I just think Kenneth Dixon is a more talented all-around running back, but he's not going to get a shot here anymore, at least not if I was making any decisions about it. But I thought Thompson, Edwards, and Turner, I thought all had decent preseasons. I mean, they're undrafted guys playing against scrubs, so who the hell knows once they once it's Andrew Billings across the line, who knows what's going to happen. But I'd give at least one of them a shot. I don't know. I guess Turner. I think Edwards is the best all around of the 3 of them, but Turner is electric. So I want playmakers on my team. We don't necessarily need another bruiser. Like if Collins went down, I mean, it's not like Gus Edwards played nice in the preseason, but it's not like we couldn't get another undrafted type bruiser, move the pile type running back. I mean, you can just get them. I don't have anybody in front of me, but I guarantee you if I Googled available free agent running backs right now, there'd be a name on there that I went like, ooh, look at that guy's available. I didn't even know that, So, I mean, if I was going to give a guy a shot off of our practice squad, I'm giving it to the guy who runs for 65 at a touchdown. So we'll see.
All right. This will be the question across the board. That is, if Alex Collins does go down, how confident are you in this run game?
On a scale, or am I just saying, am I confident?
You can go to scale.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, if Dixon is out long term and or gone, whatever they decide to do with him, and now Collins is out, and all we've got is Buck, that's my confidence. That's what I'm rating.
That's what we're rating. You can bring Dustin. You could bring Dustin or
2.5 out of 10. I mean, I think I'm confident in Buck, But if Buck's all we have and we're like looking to Patrick Ricard to take a couple of snaps, I'm the big Ricard fan, and I still don't want that. So yeah, I would not. If we only had one cow in the barn, I would not be happy.
So just real quick, let me add on to that. Does that make us one-dimensional? Yes or no?
I don't think it does. I think Buck is a capable running back, and I think he's better out of the backfield than Collins is. If he was on the field full time for first downs also, I actually think it might add a wrinkle to the offense. But I think Collins is obviously the superior running back as far as toting the rock.
All right, Al, your turn. Running backs, what are your thoughts?
If first game you would have like Buffalo thought. You would have thought. It would have been a heavy dose of the run, and the Ravens would have been able to run the football. It was the opposite, low dose of the run, and Kenneth Dixon ran the ball well. But I thought Buck Allen did good. Catching a few, but 5 catches for 15 yards ain't a great game either. So. Alex Collins has got to, like I said before, Alex Collins has got to play better. They're really relying on him to be that horse that they need in the backfield, so to speak. If Alex Collins goes down and Kenneth Dixon, I'm definitely not counting on Kenneth Dixon. At this point, I say bring up Delance Turner, bring up Gus Edwards. Call Terrence West, do what you got to do. But you need to find a replacement for him. I think they're going to give him one more shot, depending upon how quickly he comes back from this injury that he has now. But I'm definitely not a Kenneth Dixon fan. I loved what I saw from him in that limited preseason action, but can't get too excited for Kenneth Dixon. So hopefully Alex Collins stays healthy, doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. So hopefully Alex Collins stays healthy, and it's just an anomaly with the rain, and he's out of Harbaugh's doghouse by tomorrow, so he can actually get some snaps against the Bengals.
All right, what's your confidence level if he goes down, and what are we, a one-dimensional team?
I'll say no, because kind of similar to what we had last year. Terrence West was going to be the lead back for the Ravens last year. Goes down with an injury. You bring in this guy off of the practice squad, because they had Jeremy Langford ahead of Alex Collins last year, and you get this guy off the practice squad, Alex Collins, and he almost rushes for 1,000 yards. So I don't think they're a one-dimensional team, because you've got 2 running backs on the practice squad right now that you could go with as an alternative. And who knows what they're going to do. They come in, not a lot of tape on them, and if they can run, that first year when teams don't really have a scouting report on you, that's the time to come in and do your thing and be a one-hit wonder if you need to be. There's a lot of running backs that have done it.
What's your 1 to 10 scale?
1 to 10, I'm higher. I'm in the middle. I'm at a 5, because I think you got a 50-50 chance to hit on Gus Edwards or Delance Turner coming off the practice squad if you get decimated with injuries.
All right, Vince, you're up. Running backs.
Yeah. So to everyone else's point, situation more to me than anything else. So I'm not reading too much into the bad performance. Obviously the one concern is Alex Collins putting the ball on the ground. He's done it now a few times. He got over it a lot for a while last year, and I just hope that doesn't creep back and become a more significant issue. But other than that, I'm willing to give a pass to most everything. And then obviously the rain could have been a factor too. So, I'm still feeling fine about Alex Collins. Obviously it's unfortunate again with Dixon. We'll see how long it is, but obviously you're not counting on him. But I also don't think you need to cut or IR him right away. Let's just see how it plays out for at least a little bit. But obviously you're not counting on him. So, but Buck Allen, I've always been a fan of. I think as a complementary piece, he is a solid number 2. So I don't really have a problem with our current situation. If Alex Collins gets hurt, to your question, obviously that's a significant blow because I don't think we have anybody who just is from a pure talent perspective ready to step in and be that type of running back. So, but that doesn't mean we would be a one-dimensional team by any means. We run the ball. That is what we do. So that'll always be a part of us. It obviously won't be as good though. So I guess I would give it my confidence level probably a 4. Um, if we lost Collins, you know, I am definitely concerned about the depth because, frankly, I was really hoping Kenny Dixon could put it together this year, but um, obviously that was unfortunate. So that does make me a little more concerned. But obviously we do have the 2 practice squad guys, and you know, I think Gus Edwards is probably first up, but um, obviously, Delance Turner showed he can break some long runs. So I think he would be my pick if Collins got hurt as the who would be the one who broke out. But I think Gus Edwards is probably the smart one to bring up and seems more polished at this point.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. Obviously, I'll agree with everybody on the running game. This is wet and rainy. I think they'll do much better Thursday night. But if Alex Collins did kind of go down, my confidence level wouldn't drop below an 8. Here's the reason why. Lamar Jackson. You forgot about him. He can play in the backfield. He can play quarterback.
He's not coming to play running back, Rob.
Excuse me.
Hey, hang on. Who's Lamar Jackson again?
He is our quarterback.
Oh, I forgot about him.
The guy who's going to be destroying things. That guy can come in, play quarterback. He can run it. He can help Buck Allen out. So I'm at an 8 on that confidence level. They can bring in Mark Thompson, who I liked a lot in the preseason. We're totally fine, thanks to Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I'll make that statement, and I'm going to stick by it because so far I'm 2 for 2, and you guys are 0 for 2. So Lamar Jackson would take over, I think, a quarterback a little bit more often. This team is okay going forward in that run game, but I'm hoping Alex Collins does not go down by any means necessary.
Rob, you got to be kidding me. I mean, there is no way. First of all, if Lamar did play running back, that would be really bad for your personal long-term hopes and dreams, because that would mean we gave up on him as a quarterback, and now we're just trying to get him in another position. So please,
as terrible as the point you think he's making is, you've missed his point. What Rob is saying is that Jackson is going to come in and play quarterback more often,
right,
in order to aid the running game.
That's correct. That is correct. That is the point you did miss. That's what I was about to say. He would come in and play quarterback, but because of his running ability, we would still be able to run the football.
Even worse than you thought it was.
Yeah, that's actually even worse. Unbelievable. We're not past this yet. I mean, I just don't understand.
Well, let me ask you a question. He had 3 rushes for 39 yards Sunday.
Let me ask you, what did you think of the packages? Because I think that's right. That's at this point. Let's talk about about your boy. I thought, to be honest, they were a little much, and they disrupted the flow of the offense.
No, I'll be very honest with you. They felt uncomfortable. They did not flow very well. So I'm going to agree with you. It's one or the other should be in the game, but we don't know what the long-term plan is to them working that out. But one or the other should be in quarterbacking the team. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'll agree with that. It felt uncomfortable.
Here's what I'll say about it. I actually thought it was okay, and I think what it does is I think it helps to freeze those linebackers to make them take a second look into that backfield to see if we gave Lamar Jackson the football on some of those fake end arounds that they ran a few times during the game. So I like the little I mean, I like some of those plays. I did not like the pitch throw that they were
Right.
trying to do. That kind of got blown up right from the beginning. That was just terrible. But just some of the, I mean, if you want to throw a couple fake end arounds in there just to get it on tape in week one, I'm okay with that because teams are gonna have to spend practice time to prep for it.
Yeah, I'll say this. Me and Rob had this conversation yesterday. I didn't mind him being on the field. I thought that he was useful as a decoy on the end around situation, but I honestly think if you're gonna use him, put him on the field and just let him play ball. Don't try to you make a gimmick out of it. Like the thing where they pitched it and then he reversed field and tried to get away.
Yeah.
I heard in a media session after the game that was the play design. It wasn't that he was trying. It wasn't his escapability and he's like reversing field to get away from the incoming linebackers. That was the play design. And I'm like, what is that? That takes 100 years to develop. Who's he throwing that ball to?
Yeah, that was terrible.
It felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Look, I mean, Rob, I'm not even as down on it as you sounded, to be honest. I mean, I was just more teeing that up for you. I think for me, some of it felt a little forced and a little gimmicky. And those were the ones that kind of made you cringe and want to just say, all right. But, to Al's point, I just think we're putting it on tape early in the year just to get teams to prepare. I don't think November, December, you're going to see a lot of this. I mean, hopefully you'll see some of it in terms of what we can. And I think to your guys' point, just let them come in and run the read option or something. Just keep it simple. Let them run, some, RPOs and just get it done. Don't try all the gimmicks. Just, if you're going to do it, then do it. But, I don't know. I just think at this point they're just putting stuff on tape, which to me isn't a bad thing. I just wonder how much we'll see it down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with them, putting stuff on film and making people prepare for it. That's valuable. But I just think I think all of the things that we think Jackson's going to be, I think he's going to be those things. Like I said, I'm seeing things out of Jackson after 5 preseason games and 1 regular season game that I didn't see from Bowler after 3 years of being in the league and fucking up everything he touched. Like, I can't, you can't predict the future. You don't know what's going to happen injury-wise and stuff like that. But Jackson can play ball. I don't think he's going to fail as a quarterback. So if we drafted him to be the future and if we think he has enough talent to be dressed on game day, put him in the game and let him play ball. Put him at quarterback. Like, I mean, I'm not saying, like, I'm not by any means saying let's replace Joe Flacco with him like Rob is. I'm just saying, like, one series, like, hey Joe, we're gonna give Lamar this series in the second quarter. When we were ahead 100 million points or whatever, or the game is, if we're beating a team, 17 to 3 or something like that, yeah, we're gonna give Jackson a series and see what he does. What's the harm? I mean, what does he throw a pick? Yeah, okay, all right. He's a rookie, and we're trying to train him to be the future. We don't know if that's next year. We don't know if that's 2 years from now. We don't know anything. But like, I'd like to see him play some ball at quarterback against regular teams. And, like, Flacco can pretend he's not fired up by Jackson's presence, but he's fired up by Jackson's presence. And if we can get, Jackson's on the field a few snaps here and there as like a fake end around, or like actually toss it to him and then let him throw a pass, just like, or direct snap it to him and just let him play quarterback. Flacco and Jackson standing next to each other, whatever. Like, put him on the field for some goofy plays. I'm fine with that. But if you're gonna get him out there, just let him play ball. Let him play quarterback and say, hey Joe, I know you said you're okay with it. Let's see if you really are okay with it. Go sit on the bench for this one. We're gonna give Jackson the first drive in the second quarter.
Well, that was my point.
I think you lost me there. I don't think we can go that far at all. I mean, that's where I get concerned. I mean, at the end of the day, this ain't a training session. We're trying to win some ball games, and Joe is the one that's going to lead us, and I can't advocate for that. I mean, I was more saying when you put them in, you don't have to run gimmicky type plays. and I don't mind him and Joe being on the field together and, doing a little bit of that stuff. But, yeah, to me, I don't know if I just can't – I can't advocate for something that aggressive with him.
Well, hang on.
We're trying to win some games. Now, I love that we were able to give him a half of football in the second half. I mean, that was invaluable to be able to do that against an NFL defense, and we should take advantage of those opportunities every time. And it doesn't have to be a 40-point game. So that I'm all for.
But that was kind of my point there was if our running back did go down, you could put Lamar Jackson in. We could still have a run game. He still rushed 7 times for 39 yards in the second half of that game. So I'm saying is you can still have a rushing game. You can still put Lamar Jackson in at quarterback. I'm not talking with the gimmicks. I like him at quarterback, but that's me. All right, I'm going to push on. This should be a quick one, but how concerned are you at center for this team on the offensive line? Because come Thursday night, I believe it's Geo Akins is going to get our center on a matchup. So how concerned are you on that offensive line for our center? I'll start with Vince.
Yeah, Geno Atkins. Yeah, but I didn't think Skura played that terribly. I'm concerned because I have seen him get bowled a little too often for my liking, so it'll be interesting to see him line up against this D. But I thought it was a little hard to evaluate, but in the blowout text, but I thought he played reasonably well enough, and I think he's just one of those, not those Maul or Ryan Jensen centers. He's one of more of those heady kind of move centers, a little more athletic, but will struggle with bull rushes. So, I think that's the key for me. But I don't. I think the combination as is worked at least this week, and we'll see. I think Orlando's one that, as the second half comes around, we'll just have to see what Scorer does, in these type of games. I think he's definitely a wait and see but I just don't know if he has anyone behind him. I mean, the interesting part to me was Bozeman played for Yanda in the second half, like virtually he was in there early. So which makes me feel like that he might be the one, but perhaps can slide the center, but I don't know. Well, I think Skura, did enough to have me, feeling fairly comfortable, but we'll see. We'll see. He'll have a big test this week.
All right, let me ask you a question. Are you going to throw a running back in there to possibly help block? Or are you putting Flacco in the shotgun more often?
Yeah, I think they'll be more apt to spread it out and put Flacco in the gun. I mean, I think he has struggled when Geno Atkins has gotten pressure on him, and I think that is a key factor for us. So I expect Yanda to help out a lot. I mean, we'll have a plan for him, no doubt. That doesn't just involve Skura.
Okay, just asking the question. All right, Bill, you're up. How do you feel quickly just on the center in that matchup? And are you going to throw a running back in there or go into shotgun?
Well, they're going to be in the shotgun a lot. I mean, Flacco loves the gun. I mean, he loved the gun at Delaware. He loves the gun. So I think we should use it more. But as far as the center position goes, I'm not confident in Skura at all. I think he is not a very good player. I'm concerned. Well, I'm not concerned. I feel for sure that if Skura continues to play, it'll be Lewis and Yana doing the heavy lifting inside. They'll be helping him out on every single snap. And I would be much more comfortable with that situation if Brown was at right tackle instead of Hurst, because Hurst also had a bad game, and it makes me nervous, man. I mean, there is a reason that the running game did not perform well. And there's also a reason that perhaps the running game picked up just slightly once Brown was in at right tackle in the cheap seats, I don't know. I don't like what they've done with the starting five. It's the wrong five on the field, in my opinion, right now. I don't have that much hope of a shuffle, especially super early, because offensive lines need to gel to do their best football, and I would have liked to have seen the right five on the field from the first game. So I don't know. I would be very excited if tomorrow's presser Harbaugh came out and was like, "Yeah, we've decided to move Alex Lewis to center. James Hurst is going to play left guard, and we're putting Orlando Brown Jr. at right tackle this week, and we're just going to go with that and see what happens." I'd be like, "Yeah." So we'll see. I don't have that much hope of that happening, but Flacco played great, so put him in the gun and don't get him hurt, please.
All right, Al, go ahead.
All right. I mean, I'm okay with where they are right now. I mean, they experimented with the Alex Lewis moving the center situation, and it clearly didn't work, because I think they wanted to get Orlando Brown onto the field for him to be a starter, but they needed in order for that to happen, they needed Alex Lewis to be successful at the center spot, and the reality is he's just a better guard, and they don't have any other options. So I think what they're doing is they're going with their best five, their most experienced five. And I think the only change that you'll see potentially as we move on in the season is Orlando Brown potentially becoming the starter at right tackle. James Hurst will have a big test this week, going up against Carlos Dunlap. They'll be able to help Skura up front this week. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, the center's getting help from one of the guards, especially against that D tackle that's kind of in between the center and the guard in that A gap. So I'm not really worried about Skura. I think the first game was a great game for him to build some confidence in himself. I mean, he started a few games for us last year, so he knows what it's like. He knows what it's like out there. I mean, while he may not necessarily be the greatest, if he can get up there, I mean, make the calls on the line and do all the stuff that he needs to do. He's the option. He got a great vote of confidence last week, and I think he needed it. And hopefully, he'll be successful going into Thursday night against Geno Atkins. But I'm good with the line until I see something different. So far, they played well.
Okay. Did you say, and hear that last part though, Flacco in the shotgun, or are you going to throw somebody back there to help protect?
It's really up to Flacco. I mean, because look at a lot of the great quarterbacks that don't have great offensive lines in front of them. I mean, I think the line in New England has just gotten better. I mean, Flacco just got to make good decisions and hurry up and get the ball out of there. If he doesn't hold on to the football, he'll be fine. You can put him in a shotgun or put him under the center. But if the receivers play well like they have, they get open, they find the holes in the zone, and they get there and they sit down in those holes. Flacco will be fine with Skura in front of him at center.
All right. Boy, I know me and Bill kind of talked about this. I'm a little bit worried about center too, but I did like Brown in at right tackle over Hurst. I'm guessing they're going to rotate a few of these guys come Thursday night to see what's going on, especially if they have to put protection in. Boy, I'm gonna probably come back and say I think they're going to mix in a little extra Lamar Jackson. Though you guys don't like me here saying that, but I think they will to protect Flacco a little bit. But I think Flacco takes a shotgun a lot in this upcoming game. He's going to throw a lot of outside passes, quick passes, because I think the Bengals are going to bring some heat up the middle on them. So we might even throw an extra running back there. So hopefully our wide receivers, hopefully Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, one of those guys get out there and can get open for Flacco. But I'm worried about center. I'm worried about it. I agree with Bill. I think that's an area of concern. All right, I'll move on to defense, and then we'll go on to the upcoming game. Defensively, I have nothing but great things to say about the defense. They actually killed it. I'll give you just a couple pick stats. Kenny Young had 4 tackles, which is awesome. I think we all like Kenny Young a lot. Zadarius Smith, Suggs, Tevin Young being back is huge. But I'll go ahead and let you guys do it. Al, you want to kick off defense? Anything you liked in particular?
The defense came out and set the tone right from the beginning. I mean, Tavon Young with 2 sacks in the first half. It's Peterman. Peterman was running for his life really right from the beginning, and to see everybody getting after the quarterback. I mean, Suggs in the first half, Tavon Young. I mean, Zadarius Smith had some nice pressures against the quarterback. Everybody was getting in the backfield for this game. So I think Tim Williams had a sack, Kenny Young had a sack in the game. So all building blocks for these guys to get into their first game, get some confidence. If Tim Williams can turn into the guy that they expected, he's playing better than Bowser right now. And if they kind of keep that whole thought of let's throw Tim Williams on the field with Judon, with Suggs, with Zadarius Smith, and let these guys on third and longs go chase the quarterback. I think that would have been the thing that we needed last year on that 4th and whatever to get into the playoffs. And I think they've got that this year. And then on the back end, what a great play by Tony Jefferson to really kind of come up with an interception. I thought he played a great game, and I thought he held up well in coverage too, which was a weak point for him last year. But Tavon Young played well. I know it was only Kelvin Benjamin, but Marlon Humphrey had a hell of a game. Just playing the football. I love the one where he knocked the ball out as Kelvin Benjamin went to the ground, and then a great pick by Brandon Carr jumping in front of the receiver, or I think it was Kelvin Benjamin again. I want to say maybe this is just Kelvin Benjamin, and he makes everybody look like Dion out there. But it was another great pick by Brandon Carr jumping in front of the receiver and making an interception. And don't forget, Brandon Carr had a hell of a year last year for the Ravens. With the exception of getting torched by Antonio Brown, which there are 10 other corners in the league that got torched by Antonio Brown too. Carr had a heck of a year last year, and just knowing that the way this defense is starting, and then knowing you're going to get Jimmy Smith back on this defense, you're going to get Willie Henry back on this defense. That will probably be the Max Williams cut. I think someone mentioned they could cut Max Williams. I think when Hurst comes back, they're going to be looking for a spot once they've got to bring Willie Henry off of the pup there, and I think he'll get that spot from Max Williams to add him back to the D line for the team. So just knowing they're getting a couple guys back, that'll be fresh and that'll be healthy. This defense could be better than what they were last year, I think, in terms of turnovers and in terms of sacks.
All right, I like it. All right, Bill, defense. Anything? I have nothing bad to say about the defense. I think they did a hell of a job. So,
obviously, the proof is in the pudding. So, they suck because they didn't get a shutout. Yeah. But I think that the only guy that didn't have a great game was Judon, and I'm not worried about Judon at all. I think he's a superstar. So he didn't have a great game, but maybe he doesn't like playing in the rain. I don't know. Whatever. We all watched the game. Everybody had a slice. Everybody got up in that ass. But I wanted to call out one guy I thought had a pretty good game, especially late in the game. Chuck Clark. Chuck Clark was good. Chuck Clark played a lot of snaps as a third safety on the field, and he looked good. And then he took over at Weddle's free safety spot after Weddle went out of the game, and he looked good there too. So Chuck Clark, he can play ball. because he's already earning his keep on special teams, and he's playing snaps on defense now, and he looks pretty good doing it.
Nice. All right, Vince.
Yeah, good call on that, Bill. I mean, he's taking snaps early too. We're playing a lot of 3 safety sets, and you know the you guys all made the observations on the players, and obviously it was the Bills. So I mean, you know, I if you want to caveat anything, I mean about offense or defense, I'm putting a caveat more on the defense, to be honest, because the story with this defense, they, the story's been they can smother and kill bad opponents, but can they step up against the elite opponents or in the biggest situations? But what what I really want to talk about that I think gives me the most hope that they'll do that this year is Wink, because I think that is the biggest change to this defense. That is what has me the most excited. The personnel is there. You guys hit on that. I think, but Wink is aggressive. He is bringing back that unpredictability to this defense that we had with Rex Ryan. He is multiple. We have formations where there are, we had alignments where we had 0 defensive linemen on the field and 5 linebackers with 6 DBs. I mean, he's got a lot there, and you can tell everyone's bought in, and that they're even excited about it. So to me, it's I think Wink can be the biggest difference maker here, and really like what I'm seeing. But we'll see. We'll see this week. This is another better test, and hopefully it's continue to build.
All right. We're going to get to that too. I said I have nothing negative to say with defense at all. They did an awesome job. With Jimmy Smith coming back, I'll ask everyone around the horn real quick. Where would you rank this defense overall for the year? What is your bold prediction, if you want to make it a prediction? Where do you think they'll rank at the end of the year? I'll start off. I think with Jimmy Smith back, and if everyone stays healthy, I'm going to say they're the number 2 overall defense for the year. Al?
I'm going top 5. I still think Minnesota's defense is going to be good. Is going to be good this year. I even think that Bears defense is maybe going to be a little better as well. But I mean, I think the Rams have a good defense. They showed that a little bit last night. So I think the Rams are going to be a defense that'll be at the top of the list. I definitely think the Ravens will be top 5, with or without Jimmy Smith. Quite honestly, you always want Jimmy Smith back. But I think I'm going top 5 for the Ravens this year.
All right, Vince.
Yeah, I mean, top 5. It won't really matter. I don't really care if they're top 5, to be honest. Will they rise up in the biggest situations, close out games, stop blowing fourth quarter leads, when it gets to November, December, when we're, fighting for a playoff spot, that's what I care about with this defense. I know what they can do. I know they'll be top 5, but that'll be the true judge of this defense this year.
All right, Bill. 2 top 5s. I got number 2.
I mean, I guess it depends on what I mean, if we're talking about the category of total yards, which is what the NFL deems as the number 1 defense, I mean, who knows? Like, we could give up a bunch of yards between the 20s and then stiffen up at the inside the box like we always do. And if we end up ranked number 6 in number 6 in yards, but number 1 or 2 in points, which is exactly what happened last year, I'll take that. And we were number 1 in I don't know if it was all takeaways or just interceptions, but we led the league in, I think it was interceptions only. And so I'll take that too. Just continue to improve on that. And I think we're gonna be better than we were last year, and we were pretty damn good last year. Obviously, like Vince said, they got to stop blowing it in the biggest moments. But Brandon Williams and Michael Pierce only played the link that Vince sent. They only played 3 snaps together. Now, some of that was a product of the ass whipping we put on the Bills and the fact that we could rest our entire team. But I thought that was telling that, I said before, I thought Wormley had a nice game rushing from the nose. Brandon Williams is a part-time run stopper. Now, he is a great part-time run stopper, but I'm not sure if the contract that we gave him, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But like we said it before the podcast started, people have to stop thinking of the contracts in terms of dollars and cents and start thinking it as a percentage of the cap, because of the exponential growth of the league and the value of the dollar. So I mean, I'm excited for the defense. I think we're probably going to be, I would say, top 5 total yards. And if we don't lead the league in sacks, I'd be very surprised.
Nice.
But right. I will say this. Wink Martindale's defense works, or at least him calling the plays works, because we have the horses. We are a very talented defense. I mean, we saw the train wreck that Wink Martindale can put on the field at Denver when they were the worst defense in the league, and they shit the bed at every opportunity. So, I mean, we've got great players, and Wink is unpredictable and aggressive, which I do like. But if we suffer a couple of key injuries, you better watch out with all that aggression, baby. You gotta cover the back end. And Denver's cornerbacks got roasted and sliced and diced by repeatedly because Wink left him out there on an island when they couldn't handle it. And I like Jimmy Smith and Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Carr's chances of holding up on that island a lot better than I like Maurice Kennedy and whoever else we stick behind them after Tavon Young turns into our number 1 when everybody starts going down. So I like Wink Martindale's aggression as long as we've got all the thoroughbreds on the field.
Yeah, good point. Well, that's what I said. If we stay healthy the whole year, so we'll see. All right, 2 more topics and we're done. I'm going to hit on the Le'Veon Bell real quick. What impact does that do for us week 4, week 9? That's when we play the Steelers, and he's not coming back till week 10 is what the rumor is. He's already off the week 2 depth chart, so he's not playing week 2. What do you guys think? Can we beat Pittsburgh in those 2 games with no Le'Veon Bell? And I'll start with Bill.
Yeah. I think we could beat Pittsburgh with or without Le'Veon Bell. I mean, we were within one outstretched arm of beating them last year if the defense had stiffened up and Dean Pease hadn't fucking put Brandon Carr on Antonio Brown. He should have never been on him. So, if we could just keep them doing that, we could beat them. I mean, James Conner's no joke. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but he balled out.
I did.
Yeah, almost 200 yards total offense. James Conner's legit. They picked him in the second or third round a couple years ago. He looked nice coming out of Pitt. So I thought he looked nice coming out of Pitt, and he's leaned up. He was real super duper thick at Pitt, and he's a lot leaner than he was then. And so I think Conner's a good running back. I don't know the Steelers roster well enough to know what their depth chart is like behind him. If we're talking about injuries, if their running back room takes a hit and Conner goes down, I don't know what they're doing now. And with Ben throwing 3 picks in the rain, we'll see what Ben. Ben's going to be Ben. But if he has a bad year and doesn't have a running game to go behind him, who knows what he's got?
Well, he's got an injured elbow right now, actually, on the report this week.
Come on. Roethlisberger's always got sand in his vagina.
Just saying. They haven't won a game. They haven't lost a game. So, all right. Al, just quickly, what are your thoughts on the no Le'Veon Bell?
The Le'Veon Bell issue is a non-story. At the end of the day, you got Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. That offense is loaded with weapons. And, that you better be ready to play when the Ravens roll into Pittsburgh. Usually the Ravens are, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. Um, it's a rivalry game. Everybody knows how intense it is across the league. So with or without Le'Veon Bell, he doesn't really. To me, he doesn't really make a difference. I mean, to the points that were already made, Connor did his thing against the Browns. I mean, you can't turn the ball over 6 times.
All right, Vince.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, um, I would much rather play the Steelers without Bell. So I mean, I'll
Yeah,
take.
right.
Um, I mean, I get that. You know, Connor's looking good, but I'm sorry, he ain't Le'Veon Bell. So, but to me, I'm more interested in the Week 4 game. I think Bell will be back maybe at the end of this month. I don't know if he goes the full 10 games. Maybe he does. I mean, who knows at this point? But if I can just get the Week 4 game without Bell, um, and then I'll deal. We'll see about that
9.
would be nice. And at this point, I think it's pretty much it's almost it's pretty close to being a lock because they're going to give them that 2 week exemption, that roster exemption. They're going to do that because they get to avoid paying him, I think, or something like that. So he's going to get that.
Also, the first couple of weeks when he came back last year, he was very ineffective.
Yep. Another good point. So yeah, I mean, I'm yeah, I hope we don't see him, but that doesn't mean we need to take them any less lightly, or more lightly. Um, they're still
Well,
the
I'm just
Steelers.
saying is
Yeah.
just remember they play the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend, so they could lose. I mean, they haven't won a game yet, so they could lose. They could lose the next week after that. So I'm just saying, just want to see the impacts there. All right, we'll move on to the Cincinnati Bengals game. This is the real test for this team. This is a real test, offensive, defensively. Let me throw a couple of stats out. Joe Flacco, since 2013, has thrown an interception to the Cincinnati Bengals in every single game. And in fact, in all those games since 2013, he's thrown 9 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So, with that being said, the Bengals beat us last year, kicked us out of the playoffs. This is obviously a revenge game. What are your guys' thoughts, key matchups, anything you think this team has got to do this Thursday night? I'll start with Al. You can kick it off.
I mean, this week, I mean, you still have the sting. I mean, if I'm Eric Weddle, I lost $1 million for not going to the playoffs. So I'm getting everybody in that locker room ready to go. I mean, you're a playoff team if you hold on against Cincinnati. So more than the offense, that defense has something to go out there and prove because this was really the last game. To the point everyone knows the defense struggled to close out games last year when the offense put them in a position to win, or gave them enough to win, and the defense just couldn't make it happen. So I think this week. I mean,
But let me add something there. You got Joe Mixon, you got AJ Green, you got John Ross. This is an offense that's going to come at that
yeah, but
defense.
these are division games. So it's not like you're playing the Buffalo Bills where you're not familiar. We're familiar with what the Bengals are going to do. They're familiar with what we're going to do. These division games simply come down to execution. You got to go out there and make plays, and if you can do that, you're going to win. And that's what it comes down to. I got all the stats. Like Flacco, he's been average against the Bengals for the most part.
Well,
But
let me stop you for a second. Average is 9 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
I mean, yeah, that's average. I mean, pretty close to it. I
That's
mean,
average. All right.
he's they're 22-22 against the Bengals all time. That's average. So
I'm talking Flacco.
listen, the running game's got to show back up, but again, the receiver just got to make plays for him. So it's not so Flacco's just throwing the ball. If he puts it where it needs to be, look at Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's a great quarterback. He's a Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback in my opinion. But there are plays every week that Roethlisberger can kind of do a little bit of nothing, make a quick 3-4 yard pass, and Antonio Brown can turn that thing into a 90-yard touchdown. I think Flacco doesn't have that this year, but I think Flacco's got. I can turn that 5 yarder into 10-15 and get you a first down that he hasn't had for a couple years. So, so for me, I mean, I get it. I mean, you're thinking Flacco's played below average against the Bengals, but I don't think this week falls all on Flacco. Do I think it's a revenge game for the team? Yeah, and like I said, I think those guys on defense that stings. I mean, us as fans remember it, so I guarantee you, the guys who were on the field when Tyler Boyd caught that deep pass are sitting there like, okay, we got to go out here and do something this week.
All right, let me give you a quick thing. If Joe Flacco is 2 interceptions in the first half, are you worried?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm worried if he's 2 interceptions in the first half and we're down 14-0. Then I'm worried. But if he's 2 interceptions and it scores 0-0, okay, turn it around and go make a play.
The question is Rob happy if Flacco throws 2 interceptions in the first half? I think that's the real question at this point to ask.
Excuse me, Vince, you're up next, so hang on a second.
Rob's going to be screaming for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I think Rob would be openly cheering that at this point. But at any rate, so
go ahead.
You know, the Bengals is obviously one of our rivals. There's not much to be said about this game. You guys covered the last year that I don't even want to talk about. But to me, this is just one you just got to find a way to win. I mean, I don't. If anyone has delusions that we're going to go out and look, just run up and down the field on them like we did Buffalo last, Sunday. I don't think let's temper expectations here. So, I just hope that we can continue to play, aggressive and just hopefully take it to them early. I think getting a lead on the road, especially in a game like this, is always critical. So that's the biggest thing for me. If they can kind of get that lead, so nothing creeps in their head, and they can continue the momentum, then Andy Dalton in primetime has been known to kind of have some interesting games. So we could get some bad Andy Dalton in primetime. So that's always a hope. But look, at the end of the day, I expect this to be a close knockout, bad drag out. Thursday night games always are kind of like that anyway. The short week is never usually pretty football. So I'm just hoping for a W anyway, anyhow.
Let me ask you a quick question. Who should cover AJ Green?
They're going to move him around. I mean, so to me, I don't know. I mean, we don't really move guys around. So I think I would like to get Marlon on him as often as possible, but that he's going to run routes out of the slot. And hey, fuck it, let's see Tavon. Let's see what Tavon can do. I like Tavon Young in the slot. If AJ Green wants to come in there for 5 plays, let's do it. So I think to me it's more about the safeties and ensuring that he does not get beat over the top. He's going to get his catches. Give him his catches. He's going to get 9 balls. Let him have his 8-9 balls. He just can't ruin the game. He cannot get over the top of us and wreck the game like he has so many times before. So that's the big thing for me.
All right, Al. Let me go back to Al just a second. Al, who should cover AJ Green?
From a scheme perspective, I mean, I don't worry as much about AJ Green as I do Antonio Brown. So for me, from a scheme perspective, I mean, I'm okay if I'm okay with them letting whoever's on that side cover him. So if it's Marlon Humphrey, if it's Tavon Young, if it's Brandon Carr, I mean, all these guys have coverage skills and coverage ability. I mean, again, you just want to keep them out of the end zone.
All right.
What I will say is,
Yeah.
when Brandon Carr's on him, we better have some safety help. That's the one thing I would say. You know, when he's on Marlon's side, let him roll. But I will add that.
All right. I was worried about the Brendan Carr thing. All right, Bill.
I think we should have safety top over the help on AJ Green's side, no matter who he's against. I think they should have safety help over the top if he's against Humphrey as well. I mean, AJ Green, it makes their offense go. I don't know who John Ross is yet. Like, maybe he's the guy who caught a touchdown last week, and maybe he's the guy who gets hurt again in a second and a half, like he always does. So, he's a good player when he's on the field, but I can't trust him any more than I can trust anybody else. He was hurt in college. He's been hurt in the pros. I think Joe Mixon is a real back. We play a pass game oriented defense at our own peril. If we don't D up first to stop Mixon, he's going to shred us because he's a good back and he's good out of the backfield in the passing game as well. So you just got to watch out for him. He's going to be a very good back. The only reason he did not go in the top 10 or 15 was because there was video of him punching a white girl. And so it was like, what are you going to do? You got video out there of you punching a girl in a fast food joint. You're probably not going to get picked on the night that everybody's on TV, And so, it's like, but he is a super talented running back, and we're going to have to deal with all of that and everything that entails. I'm not sure because I don't pay close enough attention to the Bengals roster. I don't know what their offensive line is like, but if they can't protect, if it's good, is it good? Okay. If they can keep Dalton clean, then we have to contain the passing game because Ross is certainly explosive and AJ Green has busted us on more than one occasion. So I'm not taking the Bengals lightly. I have no hope that we're going to go in there and steamroll them the way that we did Nathan Peterman and the Bills. But, I do like our chances of winning, but we better not come in there with a fat head thinking that we're going to be walking up and down the corner, Zadarius Smith is just going to walk in to Andy Dalton and slam him on the ground. That's not going to happen. He's got to play hard. And so hopefully they come to play. And I can't imagine a letdown game against the team that bounced you from the playoffs last year. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to get our best, and I think our best is good enough.
All right. Well, here's my little spiel on that. You kind of forgot about their tight end, Tyler Effort. That guy has burned us for touchdowns too. I'm not so worried about John Ross. I am worried about AJ Green. I am worried about Joe Mixon. This is going to be a tough game, and I think the only way. And you're going to hate me again, and I'm fine with it. My X factor for this game is Lamar Jackson. I think if you can get him in there and get that defense just to go one way or just not prepare the other way, let Flacco get the ball out to some of the different wide receivers or tight ends, spread it out quickly, I think we stand a better chance of winning. But you need to get their defense off, so that they don't know what to expect when they see Lamar out there or if he's in there on a play. They give Flacco an opportunity to get the football out. I think that's the X factor. That's it for me. Al, any X factors for this game?
Well, I'll say this first. Lamar Jackson isn't going to be the X factor in this game, Rob. Sorry to let you know that. I think the X factor in this game is Alex Collins. I think he needs to come back, step up, and show that he can show that last year wasn't really a fluke for him. So I think he's going to be the X factor. If he can come in and run the football well, and really keep our defense off of the field a little bit and fresh, I think the Ravens should be able to go into Cincinnati and get a fairly easy win against the Bengals. I think the one thing that is also the X factor is putting Lamar Jackson onto the field last week to put that on the tape. So now Marvin Lewis knows, okay, we got to work on this. And keep in mind, they're only practicing 2 days this week, and then they're probably doing some walkthroughs and some stuff on Wednesday. And but they've got to give the guys a break for some sort of a break before this next game. So they're practicing 2 days this week, and if you spend an hour going through Lamar Jackson potential plays, that's just more of an advantage for the Ravens because we're only preparing for the red rifle.
That's true. Give me a score prediction.
I'm at 27-10 Ravens.
Wow. All right, Vince. X Factor prediction score.
I don't X Factor. I don't know about an X Factor, to be honest.
Pass rush.
John Brown. I love John Brown. I'll just say that. But I think, to me, these always come down to turnovers and or anything than any individual for me. But score prediction, let's go. I was going to do 27, but now I'll do 30-20.
Wow. All right. John Brown sounds like an X Factor. All right, Bill. You got an X Factor and you got a score prediction.
Just to be able to say somebody in Crow, if I get it right, I'll call Tavon Young as the X Factor. I think he's going to have a big part in containing John Ross. They're both sort of small, speedster, quick twitch type guys. And I think if I don't know, I'll call Tavon Young. Maybe he'll get a pick. Maybe he'll get a sack. We'll see how it goes. But as far as score goes, I think Cincinnati's going to get theirs. So I'm going to go 24-17 Ravens.
All right, I need my score prediction. You already know my X Factor is Jackson. He's going to do it. This guy's going to get us over the top. He's going to be the surprise reason why we win this game. He's going to get a rushing touchdown. Ravens actually pull this one out 20-17.
All right, close game.
I'll take any of those outcomes. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, anything else you guys want to add before we sign off? Oh, I'll throw it around the horn. Anyone speak up? Anything you want to add? Bill, Vince, Al.
Nope.
Yeah, nothing for me. Short week. Glad the short week is early in the season, so the Ravens aren't beat up going into Cincinnati on a short week. They're still fairly rested from the preseason, so should be able to come out with a win this week.
2 points.
Has anybody seen anything definitive on Dixon or how Hurst's surgery went and whether the timetable is accurate?
If I'm guessing on Hurst, he's not coming back until that Steeler game at the earliest.
Yeah, I think if he's back to practice, we'll see. We'll know early because he'll have to be back to practice Saturday or that Monday, depending on whether – I don't know if he'll give them a long weekend or not. But, yeah, I think what was the other one? Dixon. Kenny Dixon. I haven't heard anything definitive at all. Kind of silent. But I heard it's gonna be a few weeks from what I heard.
Yeah, I heard he's going to miss some time is all I saw. So
yeah, that's the same thing. That's the same blurb I saw for him. So I don't know what sometime means. It sounds like a few weeks.
Yeah, if sometime is like 3 weeks, I'm good. If sometime is like 8 weeks, sorry.
So sometime for me is 2 weeks. I'm good for 2 weeks. If he's gonna miss 3, 4, 5 weeks, like I IR that dude and bring up Gus Edwards and or really just bring up Gus Edwards to Lance Turner, whoever's better at pass protection.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is the magic number. If it's 2 weeks, okay. At 3 weeks, I'm starting to think, I don't know. 4 weeks, sorry, man. I got to go to somebody else, bro.
All right. Well, that's. I guess we'll meet up again in a few weeks. I think after just before the Steelers game. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah, that works for me. Hopefully, the Ravens are what 3-0 by then.
Well, we got Denver. We got the Bengals. So Al's predicting 3-0.
Oh, I'm not predicting 3-0. I'm predicting 2-1.
Well, you know what? I'll predict undefeated at the Steelers next time we meet.
Yeah, I agree. I'll call 3-0.
I'm at 2-1. I think that Denver game with that Denver defense is going to be a tough game. I mean, I'm a little nervous about Von Miller coming off the edge.
I
don't know.
I
To
watch
me, I
I watch
think
a lot
the
of
Bengals
Minnesota
game-
Vikings football because Honest family's all Minnesota Vikings, and Case Keenum had a nice year. But if you punch him in the mouth early, he will throw to you. So if we can get to him, I think we have a good chance with Denver.
Yeah, that's what gives me confidence. Is I don't think Keenum can come in there and beat us. I mean, I think we'll do enough offensively where he's going to have to beat us, and because I don't think that running game's going to do enough to carry them. So I'm a little more worried about the Bengals game just because of the short week in division and the coming back home with the long rest. I would feel pretty good about Denver.
Yeah, I was more worried about the short week on the Thursday night game before we got to sit our starters in the second half. That was very helpful. Thank you, Bet Buffalo.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll meet up just before that Steelers game. It's a Sunday night game, I think, prime time actually.
Yeah, so I'm going
Yeah.
3-0 too, Rob, just for the record.
I kind of figured you were saying that.
Yeah.
So only
Everybody-
Al is
Everybody's
2-1.
3-0. I'm the only 2-1.
Yeah, if you can't be a homer on September 11th, I don't know when you can be a homer.
Good point. All right. We'll go
I
ahead.
do think they win. I do think they win Thursday, though. I think we'll see about the Denver game.
Well, that's why I kind of figured you said we're going to win 27-10. I think they score more than 10 points, but we'll meet back up for the Steelers. This for the Steelers game that Tuesday. Obviously, we'll have two games in the book, but Lamar Jackson is the greatest. He'll be the guy.